Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Mace, coming to you from Canada. Hope you all are doing fantastic, great, spectaculational. Just made up a nice little new word, spectaculational. I like it. Phenomenational. That would be good too. Anyways, we're going to continue this thread of the most ignorant things Americans have said about different countries around the world. The willful ignorance, I think, is kind of the thing that a lot of people cringe at. It's the willfulness of it. The willfulness of it. They will it into existence. You know, no humility, no self-reflection, no willingness to learn. It's just, I'm right, we the best, screw you guys, you all suck. The American way. Number one is funny. Do you have paved roads in Ireland? Do you have paved roads? Do you all have paved roads in Ireland? Do you? Or are you all still using them horse carriages? I think you're still using the horse carriages, aren't you? Wow, that's pretty wild. I'm an American, but I spend 4 months of the year in Montreal. Was at a university party in Ohio when somebody at the party asked if we all lived in igloos in Canada. We do. Just a heads up. I thought it was because he was drunk, so I played into it for a bit. Yeah, we do. It's crazy how cold it gets up there. Blah, blah, blah. A couple weeks later, I saw the person on the campus with two of his friends. They all walked up to me, and the original person who asked the question had actually bet his friends $10 each that we did live in igloos. Needless to say, he was a little upset when I told him that I was messing around because I found it hilarious that he was dumb enough to believe me. His friends were also happy that I made them $10 that day. That somebody actually believed that Canadians lived in igloos is pretty wild. Pretty crazy. The craziest thing about it is it's true, of course. We do live in igloos, and we our mode of transportation is polar bears dragging sleds. Yeah. You know, we have polar bear trains. It's really cool. Really interesting trips to school. You know, polar bear comes around the corner. Hop aboard. Let's go. And we're going to have a cup of maple syrup for breakfast. Poutine for lunch. And some elk burger. With some moose meat on the side for dinner. Daily. Next. Not allowing me to build a golf course would be the worst disaster in Scottish history. So, not the Darien disaster, the death of Alexander II, the Highland clearances, or even, if we want to stick with the popular meaning of disaster, Lockerbie, Piper Alpha, or the Quintinshill train crash. Quintinshill, I love that word, Quintinshill train crash. Guess who said that? I'll give you the clue. The final president of the USA. They got to be talking about Trump, right? There's also a tendency to refer to us as though we're not Western. Do you chaps know where the West starts? 10 years ago. So this is 2015, 2016? The final president, eh? Sounds like a threat. I'm just assuming he'll be awful and you'll be bought out by Mexico. Well, they assumed right. The position of president has now been outsourced to India. Don't worry, he's not going to win. Oh no, this person was wrong. Sorry he effed up your countryside, but I suppose at least he lost the case to keep those ugly wind turbines from spoiling his resort's flawless view. Trump and golf, something, he spends a lot of time doing while, starting needless wars that are throwing the world into chaos. I'm from England, London, with a very posh accent, and once worked in Crested Butte, Colorado. One of the Texans I was fitting boots for says, "Oh my God, you have a lovely accent. Are you from Paris?" Lasai. People saying, "Is this real? I want this to be real." All right, next one. We got an Australian. Nearly everything Americans say to be cute, funny, or aloof about my country just makes me groan. It's usually always followed up with something good about Australia, like 2/3 of a shit sandwich, please. All right. Oh, this person went in on him. "Walking what, mate? Throw some prawns on the barbie." Yeah, Australians don't actually say that. That's just a stupid stereotype. Swedish person coming in for a comment. Sweden here They say that we're socialists. Yes. American understanding of socialism, communism, fascism, totalitarianism, they don't understand what these words mean. I need that meme. What is it? I don't think you understand the definition of the words that you use. Or the ability to speak does not make you intelligent. For you Star Wars fans, Phantom Menace, Liam Neeson, I will find you, and I will kill you with my lightsaber. An American customer was visiting an office in Scotland, and offered to take me out for a meal. I'm based in Ireland, near the south. Me. So what time is your flight getting to Cork? Him. We're not flying, we're driving. Me. You know Scotland and Ireland are separate countries, right? With a sea between them? Him. Really? Yeah. Americans' geography also don't go well. They don't go together well at all. Water and oil, folks. Water and oil. Peanut butter and olives on a sandwich. Yeah, American would do that. They didn't realize we were an actual country. They didn't even learn about it in school. What country would that be? A? So Canada? That is because A isn't a country. Well, I learned about y'all in school. Euskalheria, or literally A. I've never even heard of just A. Where is it? I don't know of any country called A. Absolutely, I do not. Moving on. We got a quote here. Does India speak Indian? I think they speak Punjabi. Well, I think India has many different dialects. Punjabi just being one of them. Is what a person asked one of my friends. Almost every time I tell someone I'm Indian, they ask if I can speak Indian. Today I learned Americans learn shit all in geography. Yes, we've just been talking about that a few moments ago. They really, really don't know the geography. They couldn't pick out, they definitely couldn't pick out Iran. Certainly couldn't pick out Ukraine. Like, they don't know where these countries are. They don't know what they look like. They don't know anything about their cultures. Iran's a particularly interesting one because the U.S. is currently in a war with Iran, which a lot of Trump's little knee pad wearing sycophants love, but they don't even know where it is. What do you mean? I learned about all the countries, even Africa. Nice. I see what they did there. I got that reference. I'm American, and the only reason I'm good at geography is because I was self-taught. I had an atlas as a child, and I used to read fairly often. The school system didn't teach me S-H-I-T. Yeah. Next. This was in middle school, so in retrospect, not that cringeworthy, but at the time I was shocked. Me. I'm from Puerto Rico. Her. Is that near Madagascar? I know it's somewhere in Africa, right? Me. Awkward seal. I know I'm a dark-tanned Puerto Rican, but still. Hey, cheater, Puerto Ricans are Americans. Yeah, Puerto Rico is a territory of the U.S., not a state, right? I don't know how that works. I think they're like U.S. citizens, but they can't vote. They have their own government. You have internet there? Said by an American friend. The poor girl thought that we still live in tents and ride camels. I'm Moroccan. Casablanca. Of all the bars and all the places of all the... I don't know the quote, but some of you might. Humphrey Bogart. I'm from Germany. Guess. Something about... Is it something about World War II? Hitler? My wife's great uncle used to study in Heidelberg. Ich lieben Rammstein. I love the German culture. Well, I'm not going to say that. That's that could be clipped. It could be clipped and used for nefarious purposes in the future. Speaking of nefarious purposes and the government, like, they're going to use AI, right? They're going to use AI to track and quantitatively examine us. Track transactions, track speech, track posts, track communications, dissemination. Yeah, it's not going to be good. Next one. From Kazakhstan. People honestly think Borat is from Kazakhstan, and his film is a historic document about us. And the village scenes is our lifestyle. Mate, come on, it's the 21st century. I've heard that Baron Cohen or the producers of the movie really didn't treat the people very well that were in those scenes and didn't really know what was happening or know that they were being kind of essentially ridiculed. I'm Australian, and I had an American tell me, "You're a descendant of inbred convicts and therefore not a real person." Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Who says that to another person? Jesus Christ. That is absolutely not okay. I had one who didn't know how time zones worked and was surprised that it was daylight here when it was nighttime there. They were able to catch on pretty quickly, so points for that. But they had not come across that concept before. Many Americans notoriously think the earth is flat, so it makes sense they wouldn't understand that, time zones are a thing. Similar to this, it really bothers me when movies or TV shows have it the wrong way around. An example I can think of top of my head is in How I Met Your Mother, when Ted has to stay up late because Victoria is going to call him from Europe. Right. All right, we got a Canadian here. Canadian checking in. I'm Canadian. I was at a resort in Jamaica for the week of July 1st, Canada Day, and July 4th, U.S. Independence Day. The resort was having a celebration for Canada Day. I was talking with some Americans, and they asked me what Canada Day was. And I said, it's kind of like Canada's Independence Day, which isn't completely accurate, but an easy way of gaining some simple understanding. Oh, well, do y'all still celebrate Independence Day? I was once asked if we have internet in Germany. No, they don't. Germany is still like East Germany. Wall never came down. How do you walk around in your country with all the snakes around? Do you keep a stick with you? What are you going to do with a stick? Poke it? Pick it up? Throw it? I don't know. I don't understand. He thought we, Egyptians, ride camels, live in a desert, and have no internet. Checks out for what an American would think of literally any other country in the world. They think America is like the shining beacon of culture and commerce and civilization, when really it's on the downslope right now. Like, superpower parity, I think, is coming in. Trump is really speeding it along, and he's damaged the perception of Americans irreparably. Like Mark Carney said, it's a rupture. It's a rupture. An eruption, yes. Oh yeah, I've heard about Lithuania. It's a village in China. Didn't know there lived white people there, too. However, bonus points for originality. Most of the time, foreigners say Lithuania is in part of Russia or Poland. Tea and crumpets, please, Governor. See, you've had tea with the Queen, Mary Poppins. We saved you guys from Hitler in World War II. Ah, yes, Americans and their revisionist history. And all of the wars that, of course, they've won every single time. They've never lost any sort of military conflict, no. And they've also just never committed any war crimes. They're perfect in every way. Perfect in every way. But not really. They're horrible and awful. Crumpets are the best things ever, though. Source: I'm British. I don't know if this person's serious. Back-to-back World War champs, baby. USA. Oh, my God. All right. You can't be Irish. You wouldn't be able to afford that watch because transatlantic holidays are cheaper than watches from Argos. Okay. Me. I'm Mexican-American. Him. Is it nice living in Mexico? Oh, I tell you what, some people. I saw someone tweet that they were surprised to know that Kenya has electricity and internet. So we've seen a common theme throughout these comments that Americans don't know where these countries are. They don't know anything about them. And they seemingly think nearly every other country in the world is like living in the dark ages. Weird. I guess that's that thing about, the American government trying to keep the people in the dark, keep them dumb, stupid, and just good little consumers. I was born in Argentina, but live in the US, so technically I'm not American. Anywho, someone asked me where I'm from, and I said Argentina, and they go, Oh, that's so cool. That's in Europe, right? No. Argentina cannot enter Europe. Argentina is in South America, on the southern part. Is it on the southern? I believe Argentina's on the southern. I was trying to think if it's in the southern west or the southern east coast. Anyways, beautiful country. I'd like to go there someday, maybe. A lot of people apparently assume we're all black. South African girl and white as snow. Ah, the South Africans. Next. When you use US dollars in Australia, do you get US or Australian change back? Americans are using their currency everywhere. Nobody... Bruh. Hey, buddy. Can you tell me where the bridge is to Australia? No way. Nobody said that. It's like, how many... Is it 1,200 kilometers? Like, how far is it New Zealand to Australia? I'm curious. My guess was 1,200 kilometers. How far from New Zealand to Australia? 1,500 kilometers. Okay, I wasn't too far off. Just for a educated guess. Well, not so educated. That's just a guess. Just a normal guess. This isn't so much ignorant as confusing. I've had many Americans derisively call Canada a, quote, nanny state, unquote, in a negative sense. But these tend to be the people who want a law so their kid can't see this, and a law so people can't say/do something that they don't like, and a law to keep companies from doing, as I wrote, less ignorant and more. Yeah, Americans think Canada's... You honestly hear Americans calling Canada a communist country, which is patently absurd. They also have a president who recently spurned Canadians, called, he started calling Trudeau governor, he recently called Carney governor, threatens to annex us, calls us the 51st state continually. He stopped doing it in the last couple of months. I think he's probably gotten a lot of pressure from people, because the thing with Trump is he's crude even for his supporters. Like, a lot of his supporters find like him crude, but they still think he's, this amazing president. I saw the clip the other day. I've seen it before, but it came up on my doom scroll. And it's the one where Trump was shot in the ear, or it was a piece of debris, whatever it was. But you know that moment where he like stops his agent and he's like, wait. And then he awkwardly like gets up and puts his hand up. That was certainly a turning point, I think, in the election cycle. That galvanized his base and kind of, I'm sure, probably swung some vote. Look, they're trying to kill him. He must be doing something right. Yeah, we better vote for him. Yeah, he seems like a decent guy. Makes fun of disabled reporters. That's fine. His famous quote: "I could walk in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody. Nobody's gonna do shit. I mean, my supporters gonna keep supporting me. I could do anything. I could start the the Iran war, and my supporters gonna say, yeah, $5 a gallon." USA, make America great again. Yeah. Let me put on my knee pads. Exhausting. When I was walking around the Schönbrunn Palace, and I overheard some Americans going, wait, I thought they spoke English in Austria. Why would they think that? Why would they think they spoke English in Austria? That's stupid. Girls are more fit there because they're starving. Apparently to them, any country outside Western Europe is a third world country. Yeah, I came to that conclusion earlier. We've seen that a common thread throughout all these comments is them really not knowing anything about the world and thinking America is the center of it, the center of the universe. Several actors, singers, and politicians have mistaken the country with a neighboring country, or the capital with the capital of a country we have never been friends with. Yep. Most Americans I've met are really nice and are curious about my country, but I have had a couple of stupid questions like, Denmark? Isn't that a place in Germany? Or, is there any polar bears there? Gotta love Americans. Yeah, no, Denmark? Wow. Americans in geography, get your shit together, America. Come on. Enough, pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to learning geography. God. Jesus Christ. A couple of weeks back in Boston, I had a girl ask me if in Peru we went to school in llamas. In llamas? On llamas? No, we don't. If we did, you'd be living in a cave. New Zealand isn't that in Australia. They even said Australia like Australia. Literally everything Donald Trump says about Americans. Yeah, Trump started his political aspirational career with his famous speech, they're bringing, they're not bringing their best. They're bringing can I even say that word on YouTube? You know the word. They're bringing starts with R, ends with ists. They're bringing in criminals. No, he started that. He started immediately dog whistling, scared, lower to middle class. Well, the middle class is ostensibly gone, but lower class white Americans. And because there is an underlying threat of white supremacist rhetoric within Trump's entire career, right? That was his bread and butter, was like, getting these poor white folks and having them scapegoat. Because that's Trump's used, right? Since he started. Scapegoat immigrants, illegal immigrants. They're taking your jobs. Rabble, 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 rabble. Right? Yeah. That's Trump's, that's his bread and butter, baby. An American giving lessons on how to pronounce English words when English is my mother tongue, i.e. first language. There's no global standard on the English language. If you don't like the pronunciation or spelling, too bad. Fair. Scotland. I met an American couple who were convinced they could drive and see all of Scotland in a day. No, Scotland's actually pretty big. Bigger than you'd think. Didn't believe me when I told them it would take hours to drive from Edinburgh to Inverness, and they were surprised when I didn't know who their distant... They're surprised when the guy didn't know who their distant relative was. Oh, God. You sweet summer children. You guys seem to love our accents over here, which I think is sweet. My grandmother tells a story that an American couple once asked if we have trouble with there not being enough wells in Australia. As in water wells, because they figured we don't have running water because we aren't American. Yes, they don't have kitchens. They don't have running water. They still live in huts. They live in mud huts. Yeah, of course. All Australians live in mud huts. I was in Detroit airport, and I wasn't sure where my gate was, so I thought I'd ask these two nice-looking security guards. I walk up, and he asks to see my passport, mumbles to the other security guard, and this is our exchange. Security, are you sure you don't want those directions in French? Me. No. Him. Can you even understand them in English? Me. Never mind. I'm okay. I'm Canadian. Yeah. Typical. Wait, so you guys don't have the death penalty? Sometimes the death penalty, I feel, is like... It can be a visceral want, a visceral desire to see somebody punished with a death sentence. My only issue is the judicial system, law enforcement lies a lot and gets their guy, and I think the court systems and, the Western scales of justice and the way that we do it's pretty wild, right? Like, you just have a selection of your peers who decide if there's reasonable doubt, but they're just like random people, and it's essentially which lawyer is better, who is more charismatic, who's more mesmerizing with their little speeches and your closing remarks, who's more convincing. It's like a coin toss a lot of the times. And then so I don't know, I don't support the death penalty, but mainly for that reason. Like, if we had 100% like Minority Report, even in Minority Report, the guy was manipulating the files. So even in the system where it's like a Philip K. Dick, is that a Philip K. Dick story? I think it is. I got to read more Philip K. Dick, more of his books, for sure. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which of course was the basis for Blade Runner. American English teacher thought that I was from Siberia. I'm actually from Serbia. I Skyped my American friend while he was at school once. He introduced me to some of his classmates. One of them asked why I wasn't at school. It was 7 p.m. for me, 2 p.m. for him. And when it finally twigged that I was from England, his reaction was priceless. He dropped whatever he had been doing and gasped, holding his hands to his face. Are you British? Do you watch British shows? Do you ever watch Sherlock? Do you like Sherlock? My friend walked away from him, but I could still hear him talking about how Benedict Cumberbatch is Bay in the background. This one seems pretty innocent. Shit like this is why Americans have such a bad rap. One bad story and suddenly the whole damn country is like that. Pretty much. From Kazakhstan. People honestly think Borat is from Kazakhstan and his film is a historic document about us and the village scenes is our lifestyle. Mate, come on, it's the 21st century. Yeah. I agree. We kind of spoke about that one earlier, the Borat thing and them not treating the people right. The people were not very happy about it. Israel is an apartheid state. This just makes no sense if you look at the facts on the ground. Arab judges and MKs in parliament. It's just crazy. The media is a hell of a joke. Actually, I've seen the apartheid state accusation is in relation to the West Bank. However, the apartheid accusation, even in reference to the West Bank, is still wrong. Apartheid is defined as a system of political and economic discrimination in South Africa. There's no word called apartheid or apartheid system before the one made in South Africa. We must define apartheid as being a South African system of discrimination. Israel's... I'm not really going to get into this. I think the Israeli government is bad. And doing shitty things. I also think the Middle East is like just a powder keg. Unfortunately, it's been for a long time. The conflict there is just sad. Like, it's just terrible. It's honestly just terrible that humans are still fighting and killing each other. Like, as intelligent as we like to think that we are, we're still just barbarians. You know, it's still the beginning of 2001. Even though we had that beautiful jump cut, and I think that's one of Kubrick's biggest point, like as technologically advanced as we get, at the base of it, you know, we have this common thread of barbarity, of violence, right? You know, the famous jump cut, the monkey, the ape, you know, he's hitting the other one, you know, after they'd seen the monolith, and they discovered that they can use violence to dominate, and then, you know, start building with tools, and technology kind of grew as evolution began. And we have the famous jump cut. He throws the bone up in the air. 2,000 years in the future, whatever it is, and the spaceship going across. And then the beautiful Blue Danube and the wonderful spaceships dancing and all of that. I love that movie. But I think that was one of Kubrick's points. Or at least that's how I interpret it. Just thinking about that shot right now is that, you know, even as we're in space, you know, we have spaceships and we're so far advanced from where we once were. We're still doing the same crap, right? You're still going to have two dudes have a fist fight over, the slightest insult, right? We're still going to act like base animals. And that's just the way it is. I didn't know Australia has green. We're going to the green place? The green place? We got to get to the green place? I got to watch Furiosa again. And Mad Max Fury Road. Two of my favorite films. Well, Furiosa is not really, but Fury Road is... I've probably seen that movie, honestly, 30 times, maybe more. At least, like, in pieces. Funny story, I watch it at work all the time. I work in rehabilitative space, addictions, social services, and often with clients. And clients I work with are youth, and I'll show them Mad Max Fury Road. It's a good time. A few years ago, a 16-year-old American student asked if I'd ever seen a flat-screen TV, or if they aren't available at all in Germany. No, Germans, they only read. Only reading is allowed in Germany. They burned all the TVs. Someone asked me why my country is not standing up against the authoritarian, oppressive political regime that is brainwashing us. This happened in Australia. I'm from Singapore. Okay, that one escalated quickly. When working on a camp in America, I'm an Australian. Do you have doors in Australia? Australia? What's that? Does everyone sleep on that big bride you guys have? Excuse me? That poutine isn't delicious. Yeah, I do love myself some poutine. I'm Canadian after all. When Tony Abbott was prime minister, they literally thought he was destroying it. Sure, he says stupid shit, but stuff was really quite fine down here. All right. Cool. Look at this comment. Deleted. Cool. Another thread full of made-up stories that make me want to hate foreigners. Wow, someone can't take a joke. Jeez, lighten up, deleted comment guy. It always irritates me when Americans say we English have a British accent. Britain is 4 countries, each with their own very distinctive accents and hundreds of dialects within them. But an English accent is a British accent, of which there are many. Would you have a problem with them saying a full English breakfast is a traditional British dish too? Not everything British is English, but everything English is British. Source. I'm an English Brit with a British accent, specifically the English kind, an English accent, if you will. Okay? I've heard Americans say more ignorant shit about America than I've ever seen someone else say every day here on Reddit. Alright? I'm from Pakistan and I work as a waiter. I was serving this family and they asked where I'm from because I look white or brown, but I have a bit of a British accent. I told them I was from Pakistan and they replied, "Are you part of the Taliban or ISIS?" Bruh. These people walk amongst us. They live. People don't even say anything back to me. Whenever they ask where I'm from and I say Congo, their faces go blank and I can see in their eyes that they're trying very hard to know where that is. It's in Africa. Nowadays, I just say I'm from Central Africa. It's too exhausting having to explain geography. Yeah, don't even bother. Don't bother. Americans can't even name 3 countries, let alone 20, or 50. I work in hospitality, so I've heard a few. Right after Canada decided to stay out of the Iraq War, after 9/11, an American left a comment in a guest book stating that we have a beautiful country, shame it's full of cowards. That one was probably the worst I've heard, but plenty of minor ones as well, such as Americans expecting to receive their change in U.S. currency when paying with a U.S. dollar. It didn't occur to them that we have our own currency. Yeah, Americans... No, that's that entitlement and malignant just arrogance of thinking that another country is just... and I think sometimes, like, Canadian businesses will accept American dollars. I haven't worked in, like, a retail space in decades, but when I did... I believe we would accept American dollars, but it wasn't a great exchange rate or anything because we had to then exchange the money, right? Interesting to witness the resentment of people from the US and see others poking fun at their errors. Then again, when many places in the world need money or someone to bleed for them, they immediately cry for help from the USA. Why is that? This comment actually sums up American attitudes really well. You know, this attitude of, they're poking fun at us, but then America, but yeah, like, wild. Hit me up, comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out.